Jayden Maiava, Makai Lemon, and USC head into South Bend to face CJ Carr, Jeremiyah Love, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is an awesome matchup, maybe the matchup of the weekend. Two teams that need a win, a must win. Absolutely, college football playoff implications deeply rooted in this one. A historical rivalry that looks to be going away very soon. Let's start with USC because, my goodness, did they need that win against Michigan, coming off of what was a very disappointing performance against Illinois, going on the road. This team absolutely just put their foot down and said, we're more physical than Michigan. We believed that we're going to go into this game and have an ability to run the football, stop the run. They're talking about Justice Haynes, one of the best running backs in college football. Yeah, we're going to limit this guy because we've got a player number 18 in Eric Gentry that is something out of a monster movie. Only 109 total yards on the day. Justice Haynes left the game late in the first half. I know it hurts a little bit of USC fans to hear that Haynes maybe had some sort of an impact on that game, not being featured all that much, but it would not have mattered whether or not he was healthy in that second half. USC was the better football team on the day from the very first snap of this game, going right down the field. Look, this could have been a lot worse. They had two turnovers in the first. They had two turnovers inside the red zone, the fumble that kept Michigan in the game. If I'm Notre Dame, I'm thinking, let's get this team into a bar fight. Let's get them into a phone booth. We'll go punch for punch. It's in our stadium. We just think that we'll find a way to win a game. But in the back of their minds, though, I'm truly thinking, is that the way that you want to go about this? Is I saw the way that it went against Miami, and that team was able to hold on to that win. You guys closed it at the end and tied it, and then Miami went down and kicked that field goal. Texas A&M, that close matchup, you want to get into a shootout? USC's fine getting into a shootout. They can prove that. They did it against Illinois on the road. They've had that tough road environment that they have experienced, and frankly, Notre Dame hasn't played a quality opponent since Texas A&M a few weeks ago. Now, I really do believe that Notre Dame, because they faced a quality receiver in Mario Craver, in KC Concepcion, that it helps them against USC because this has been a wide receiver duo that rivals the Eric Singleton Cam duo at Auburn, that rivals Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper at Indiana, that rivals Concepcion and Craver at Texas A&M. These guys are unbelievable. I don't know who the second best receiver in the country behind Jeremiah Smith is. If you want to say it's Makai Lemon, you don't have that many arguments with me. He's been fantastic. Every time they've needed him in a big moment this season, he has come through. That makes me think, why not even give the guy even more opportunities? 9 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown in the game. Jacoby Lane, clutch once again, had the touchdown. It is awesome to see these types of matchups because of the strengths that they possess. Now, USC and why they are different, why I believe that they have an absolute legit shot to win this game and be a college football playoff team, is because they're running the ball incredibly. Over 6 yards a carry against Michigan in that front with Barham, with Benny, with Derek Moore, Rod Moore in the secondary, Jair Hill, who's supposed to be a great cornerback, 2 touchdowns running it. Jayden Maiava through the air, 265, a decent yard per attempt, and they just swarmed them then. Where? On the defensive side of the football. But now let's talk about Notre Dame, because one of the most underrated players in college football this season has been CJ Carr. He played well against Miami. He played great. That he was not the reason why they lost to Texas A&M. Try and scapegoat somebody. It's not going to work with me. It's not going to work with Blitz with Blender trying to scapegoat CJ Carr in that matchup. You're not going to scapegoat Jeremiyah Love, because when you have the ability to hand the football off to Jeremiyah Love, I truly think that I could have a chance if I just handed off to Jeremiyah Love, that team's got a chance to win. And then you put out CJ Carr there, and this kid is athletic. He's been accurate. He's been clutch in big spots. First-year starter, I'm thoroughly impressed by this guy's level of play, the poise that he has shown. Already had big matchups. You know that this really won't be too big for him. And Marcus Freeman's team, with the national championship loss where they clawed back, or the Miami game where they clawed back, where their identity is we're okay trailing, we're okay playing ahead with the lead and closing teams down and blowing them out. There really isn't a way where I see this turns into that Michigan game last week where USC fully leans on Notre Dame. See, you can't do that because when there is a Leonard Moore, when there's a Christian Gray in that secondary, still, I believe, I know these guys have gotten flack. This secondary has been chastised, or I don't know if that's the right word here, but it's definitely been looked upon negatively. This is a very good group of cornerbacks. They are talented, and if you didn't have them against USC, for example, you would be in a much worse spot to be able to have a chance. I believe you got to run the football. Jadarian Price, Jeremiyah Love, get them over 35 carries in this game because USC is a top 5 offense in college football. The way that they have performed and they've already faced good competition, yes, Michigan is good competition. They were 15th in the country before they dropped because of a loss to USC. Just because they dropped doesn't mean that Michigan's still not a dangerous football team with that element of physicality and a quarterback that just needs to learn how to touch and turn the pace of the football, which is something that CJ Carr does very well. I gotta see them hand the football off to these guys more. Keep the football away from Lincoln Riley and that offense and Wayman Jordan and Eli Sanders. Keep the football away from King Miller. Please, please do whatever you can to keep the football away from King Miller. I don't know why I said Sanders, but like Wayman Jordan and Miller, you'd imagine would be the main factor in this game. These two guys getting a large majority of the carries. King Miller, 2 rushes over 40, 45 yards in that one. He was the key difference in that second half and them turning that thing around. I'm fascinated to see a one-on-one 18 versus 4. And you know what that means. Maybe it's out of the slot. Maybe it's on wheel routes where Jeremiyah Love is trying to get a little bit of separation from Eric Gentry, and it's a contested catch. Maybe it's a 3rd and 4. And I don't know. Do you know what's going to happen? Does anyone know what's going to happen? I'm excited. It's coming. It could be an angle or a Texas route, and Gentry's going to have to use that length. He's 6'6" with like a 7'6" wingspan. The guy's like an eagle out there. I don't know. The only thing I can say is let's get ready to watch that. Now, this USC passing attack, I'll go back to that because it really will come down to the element of running the football on Notre Dame. Believe they will have success, but there will be 3rd downs, important 3rd and longs that they need to convert, and they have the weapons to go to. Now, what does Notre Dame do in the sense of man coverage? This team loves man coverage just about as any squad in the country. Do you man up Makai Lemon with Leonard Moore? Do you leave yourself a little bit more susceptible to the size of a Jacoby Lane in a one-on-one? Look, McCree has been great. I mean, tight end, he did have the fumble, but still a reliable guy. He's been good for USC this season. The elements of a tight end for this offense has really been a nice addition for him. This is a USC team with that versatility that truly makes them dangerous. I'm serious when I say this, and this goes the same for Notre Dame. I'll get to their wide receivers in a second. If you want a chance at winning the national championship, you need good quarterback play. You need very good defensive play, if not great to elite. And you have to run the football plus 2 weapons on the outside for your quarterback. Your USC checks all of his boxes. Notre Dame, though, Malachi Fields, Great House, Faison. They have the combination of those weapons. Do they have the star power of Makai Lemon? No, but they have the depth. They have the receiving core. And to make up for that, Jeremiyah Love out of the backfield, Jadarian Price being probably the best number 2 in college football. He'd be starting for 125, 130 other programs in the country if he wasn't there. And he's still a large enough factor to probably get himself into the day 2 conversation when he does come out for the NFL draft, his special teams and that burst that he possesses. It's tough to try and find a lean in this game. I know it's so simple to just say, oh, the home team has an advantage. But I also say that the team that has been playing in these games a little bit more often has that advantage, and that is Notre Dame, a team that has guys that were a part. That they have, 4 returning starters from that offensive line from a season ago, that has experience, has defensive backs that have been toasted in big moments. They've also been clutch in order to get to the national championship. You had to beat Georgia. You had to beat Penn State. You had to beat that Indiana team everybody's talking about. Maybe they are better this season. I think they are. Don't think there's much of an argument, but they still had to get there. And they have had to respond. A lot of teams could have folded with that second loss to Texas A&M, but not this team. They said, all right, 2 losses. We'll see you're 0-2, and we're going to try and be 10-2 and give every single possible reason for the College Football Playoff Committee to take as much time looking at us and keeping us out. Thankfully for them, USC has held up their end of the bargain of this matchup. Notre Dame fans have been rooting for USC because they looked at this game as like, this might be our last chance playing against a ranked opponent, or opponent that is respectful enough to hinge, to have a little bit of that seesaw that the committee would say, yeah, that is a very quality win if you get it. And if it comes down to a 10-2 Notre Dame or a 10-2 Illinois, that you'll put in a Notre Dame, or you're talking about a 9-3 Oklahoma, or a 9-3, dare we say, Georgia or Ole Miss. Like, there's a whole number of teams out there that you really are like, it's going to come down to the wire. The loser of this game will not make, definitely will not be Notre Dame making college football playoff, and USC still staring down a matchup like Nebraska, still having to go to Outson and play Oregon. Neither team can afford a loss. The loser of this game will be eliminated from the college football playoff, just about. It's just too tough a road, too many variables in play from other teams, and it's out of your control in a sense that it just will not be able to happen. I am going to take Notre Dame in this game and lean on Marcus Freeman, having coached in these games recently. Of course, Lincoln Riley has been in some massive matchups. I love this offense. This is really tough for me to pick because that USC team and what they showed against Michigan was pure heart. It was a squad that was a bit fearless of taking a punch, maybe like just spitting it out a tooth with a little bit of blood and say, that's all you got? Well, how about this, King Miller? How about this, Waymon Jordan? How about this, Makai Lemon 50-50 ball? How about this gut check shot to Jordan Marshall? They're trying to get him going. Or Bryce Underwood limiting him with sacks so that he has negative rushing yards on the day. And that was such a concern. I knew that Eric Gentry going into that game was going to limit Bryce Underwood. I said it. You can go back to my USC Michigan prediction. I was getting toasted by Michigan fans everywhere. USC fans were coming at me saying I was too confident for that one. I just looked at the game and I was like, Michigan struggled to throw the football. USC has a guy in Gentry that can shadow and limit what Bryce Underwood can do because he's got the length. And USC has the talent on the outside to pose real problems. The strength of Michigan is their front four, that front seven. It is not in the secondary, or it's not on the outside. So USC, thank you so much for taking advantage. So I want this to be support to the fact that if I pick Notre Dame, which I am, to win this football game by a score of 30-27, I've got a bunch of respect. It's very tough for me to actually make this pick and against them. Last note here, Jakeem Stewart, true freshman. Kid should be in high school right now. Incredible story. He's going to be a major factor in this game. Jeremiyah Love will be a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Get ready to get rocked by a teen. A kid in his teens, right? The youngster in Jakeem Stewart. He looks like he's going to be a heck of a football player for a long time. We just need to see the decision-making. Again, another support here is Maiava with the interception. Late in that game, I didn't like it. He had the field goal back pocket, give up the 17, he threw the pick, and they get the ball back with a long field goal anyway. I didn't like that pick, and I'm going to go with CJ Carr over Maiava, and for Notre Dame to get this win with these group of wide receivers that has improved the run game and to pull it out against USC. Let me know down below in the comments whether you enjoyed this Blitz with Blinder video, whether you agree with the prediction or disagree and you believe that USC pulls out the win. Want to hear from you guys. I try as often to get down there and engage with everybody in the comments. I appreciate you so much. I make NFL and college content every day, so please subscribe for more of that in the future if you're a big fan of this sport just like me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.